In Russia, beyond the Arctic Circle, lies Antipayuta, a Nenetse village. The Nenetses are the last reindeer breeders in the Siberian Great North. Edik is a Nenetse. He's 14 years old and a boarder at the village school for the past 7 years. Throughout this time, Edik has only seen his parents once a year. He's learned Russian and knows how to read and write. This year, he will complete his compulsory years of education, a throwback to the former Soviet regime. If he wants, he can now leave school for good. It's spring vacation. All the boarders at Antipayuta have been impatiently waiting for it. They can now go back to their families whom they haven't seen for a long time. They return to the tundra, so dear to both young and old Nenetses. The Sovkovs, the agricultural cooperatives from the Soviet era, still function in the region. The Sovkov, in fact, is responsible for the children returning each year to their families. Edik hasn't seen his parents for months. He knows that his father is counting on him and is bound to ask him to choose between school and his family. The choice frightens the youngster. It's always an emotional moment for Edik when he returns to his parents' chum, the Nenetses' traditional home, and where traditional tundra food consisting of naturally frozen reindeer meat and raw fish is waiting for him. Edik is still not a man. At the dinner table, he sits in the area reserved for women and children. If he proves worthy of his ancestors, only then will he sit with the men.
The time has come for my son to learn how to raise reindeer. The future will tell us if he's going to choose to continue. Maybe he'll decide to come with us. Maybe he'll keep studying to learn other things. I don't know. I really think I want to keep studying. You do? Well, first you gotta grow up. I'll teach you how to raise them, and when you become a man, you can decide.
4 families make up Gena's clan. Together, their herd numbers 4,000 reindeer. The men of the clan know each one of their animals. They lasso those who are going to pull the sleds. Edik has never rounded up the reindeer with the men of his clan. He's afraid of being in the way and prefers to stay on the sidelines. Gena, however, doesn't agree. He wants to see his son at work and orders him to participate. Everything happens very quickly. The reindeer are fast and numerous. Edik has trouble recognizing them and can't decide where to position himself. The youngster feels even more clumsy as he admiringly watches the skill of Gena and the others. Gena overtakes a young male. The mating season is ending, and he marks the animal for castration. Edik is disappointed by his poor performance. Near the camp, the men have spotted wolf tracks. As long as there are predators in the area, the herd has to be watched night and day for as long as the threat exists. Watching the herd is a task traditionally given to the youngsters. Edik mounts the guard a few kilometers from the campsite. At dusk, in the midst of the herd, Edik gets ready to spend his first night alone in the tundra, with its bad weather, prowling wolves, and the boy's own personal fears. Hours go by, and the long glacial night is about to begin. It's 50 below Celsius. Antipayuta is far away now. So is the peace and safety of his boarding school. The night belongs to Na, the master of the moon and darkness. He lives in the depths of the earth, and he never thaws. Numb from the cold, Edik can barely move. In the end, he falls asleep as the wolves stalk their prey.
더리만다 예차고 없다나 그래. 나가냐 하더라고 왕 하나 했던 나쁘다. 보이니? 때우러 하라니. 이걸 다 유나 하야. TV도 사고 어떻게 와라 근데 어른도 버름다. 너무 없지. 뭐만 만지. 말라버간.
Edik goes looking for the reindeer who strayed while under his responsibility. His mother is worried. The boy has never gone far from the camp on his own, and this is an expedition that might last several days. Gena is confident. All young Nenetses have faced this ordeal at one time or another. Edik will prove that the blood of his ancestors flows through his veins. He'll manage just fine. This time, Edik faces the unknown. He ventures into the huge, unforgiving desert of ice, all alone with his reindeer and his dog. The news arrives from the south. With the coming of spring, the tundra is warming up. It's time to head north. Edik's mother doesn't want to leave camp as long as her son hasn't come back, but Gena insists. Before long, the ice in the rivers will be too fragile to support the herd. They have got to leave now. Summer will soon be here. It will not only be hot, but there will also be swarms of mosquitoes. The clan gets ready to leave. Tasks are clearly defined, and everyone knows exactly what he or she has to do. The men, women, and children take down the chooms and load the sleds with all the everyday equipment they need. Reindeer don't take the heat very well. In the spring, the Nenetses head north in search of cooler weather near the sea. The journey entails several exhausting weeks, breaking camp every 3 or 4 days. Gena and his wife finish their final preparations. Gena places a specially made doll on a sled, a small idol representing the ancestor spirit which protects the family. After 2 hours, everything is ready for the departure. The first sleds take off, after which the caravan moves out in total unison. Gena leads the group on a light, easy-to-handle sled. The chief of the clan comes the sleds of the women and children. Then come the food supply sleds, the choom with its 150 reindeer, and the sacred sled with its priceless load. With its 45 sleds and more than 4,000 head of cattle, the imposing caravan stretches for several kilometers. Up to now, Edik has failed the tests required to become a reindeer breeder. Genna is worried about these failures. He begins to wonder if his son will be able to find his way back to the camp. Edik has been walking for 2 days, searching for the missing and elusive reindeer. He's almost out of food. He looks stubbornly for the rare tracks that the wind hasn't erased. He orients himself by the sun when it breaks through the clouds and tries to follow the frozen riverbeds. The reindeer droppings scattered on the snow are fairly fresh, but Edik knows that sometimes the spirits try to fool men by putting them on the wrong track. A violent storm blows through the tundra. The temperature drops to 40 degrees below 0 Celsius. Back at the camp, Genna watches the horizon with a worried look. The storm has been raging relentlessly for hours. Edik's mother is frantic. Why didn't Genna go with his son? Genna, however, stubbornly repeats that Edik will find his way. Alone in the storm, exhausted, Edik continues on. It seems to him that he's been walking forever. Still no sign of the reindeer. The boy is fighting for his survival. He can't stop in this cold. Edik refuses to give in to the doubt that constantly gnaws away at him. What if the reindeer he's following are wild reindeer? Suddenly, familiar shadows emerge from out of the blizzard. Edik recognizes them immediately. They're the clan's reindeer. Relieved by what he sees, he momentarily forgets his fatigue. Edik's ordeal, however, is not over. As soon as the wind subsides, he must begin his trek back to the camp. The storm has subsided. Edik has found his bearings and his clan. The legendary sense of direction that is in every Nenetse's blood has worked again. His success has given him confidence. It's a new Edik who stops his sled in front of his parents' tomb.
Soğuk noy soğuk atma soğuk. Saya titpelim huora wa soğuk.
Tahu anak tahu gitu. Ya pos tu nya hanya no kata ngernya.
Tidak tahu hadanyo.
Oh, ya lu kok tahu tahu.
Eli kai thai ka ngoi.
Dia dia.
Eli mo thai di ko ko.
The entire family celebrates Edik's return and his accomplishment. Genna invites the boy to eat with him. He has shown himself to be worthy of his ancestors and thus can sit with the men.
Ну потом, когда сигарету возьмет, тогда пускай поет.
Next year, Edik will leave for the village of Antipayuta and continue his studies. He now knows, however, that he will live here. In the future, he will strive to live as his ancestors did, as a true Nenetse, a free and courageous man.